I am so excited to be with you today and to be back again. And I have my tea this morning because it's just been a day. A great day, but you know, one of those days when you could really use a nap. And usually I take those naps, but today I'm here with you and I'm so excited for that. So if you want to sit down and grab a cup of coffee or your favorite tea before we get started, feel free, because that's one of my favorite things, and I feel like I kind of need that sometimes to get in the study mode. So if I take a sip here and here, there, that's why. So today I want to start on Psalm 73. And the overarching topic today will be about loneliness, because that's a big part of my story and something that I've struggled with multiple times throughout my life. But we're also going to talk about a few other things and the big picture of what David is saying here. So if you want to flip to Psalm 73 right now, I'm not going to read all of it because honestly part of it's pretty sad or just it's just sad. So I'm going to paraphrase it, but then we're going to dig in a little deeper. So to start, I will read the first 3 verses and then stop and talk a little bit. So let's start. Psalm 73, verse 1, "Truly God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost stumbled, my steps had nearly slipped, for I was envious of the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked." So here actually I shouldn't have even said David. I'm not quite sure who the author is here. David wrote a lot of the Psalms, but then there was also some more authors throughout it, and some we know about and some we don't, so I shouldn't say David. But the Psalms is here. It says a Psalm of Asaph, so sorry, I should have read that at the very beginning. He's going to be talking about how he had nearly slipped, and he had sinned, and he was wrong, and he talks about how in his heart he was really envious of people. Here he was walking with the Lord, he was serving the Lord, obeying him and doing what was right, and really struggling, really in a lot of trials and pain and hardship. I don't know exactly what it was, but we know that his life wasn't easy during this time. And here he looks around at these people who are not walking with the Lord, who actually turn their fist up at the Lord, who are wicked and arrogant and prideful, who give threats and just, wear pride as a necklace, verse 6 says, and are violent. And yet here they are and they're prospering. They're being successful. They're getting their desires, and from the outside it looks like they have an awesome life. And I know that I can relate to that at times in my life, especially probably high school, where I would look around and I would see people that weren't walking with the Lord, that were making decisions that weren't the best for them, and yet from the outside it looked like, man, like I was envious. I wanted that life. I wanted to be popular like they were, or have that boyfriend, or be that cheerleader, or be successful. And later on after high school, you could think of people that are successful or have a really big house or a nice car or a really great job, or it just seems like their life is easy, and yet they're not walking with the Lord, and here you are and life can be really hard. So that's kind of what the Psalmist talks about from verse 1 all the way until about 16. And then he turns to the Lord and he asks God, wow, can you help me understand this? I need to turn to you instead of looking at myself and trying to have, discern this, and I'm envious and discontent. God, tell me what you think about this. Tell me what the truth is in this scenario. And verse 17, he went into the sanctuary of God and he finally discerned their end. And basically he goes on to say that those people that he was witnessing, their end is destruction. Like maybe their life looks really great right now and easy and they have everything they want, but in the end, it doesn't look so good for them because they don't have Jesus and they don't know him and they aren't walking with him And that's really the key to life. That's what everyone's longing heart is wanting, because we were made by Him. We were made by God, created by Him, and He gave us this, we were made to be with our Creator, to be one with Him, and to have this fellowship with Him. And here these people are, and they don't have that one thing that we were made for. And he confesses to the Lord, and he asks for forgiveness, and he says, man, like I was brutish and ignorant, and I was a beast towards you. Just really humble and saying that was wrong of me. And then verse 23 through 26 is where we want to camp out right now. And it's some of my favorite verses that I've clung to for years. And it says, nevertheless, I am continually with you. He's saying this about God. I'm continually with you. You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is nothing on earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. And then it goes on to verse 28. But for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the Lord God my refuge, that I may tell of all your works. I love these verses. In high school, I remember my mom sharing this verse with me, and it's her favorite verse. Her mom passed away when she was 19, and that was a really hard season for her, and it's been something that's hard throughout her whole life, of course, missing your mom and that loss and ache. And these were her verses that she clung to, that no matter what loss she may have or grief she may have, the Lord is with her. And there's nothing on earth that she desires besides God, that He is the strength of her heart and her portion forever. And when she shared that with me, I just started to cling to these verses throughout different seasons of my life. And one thing that I've always struggled with, I don't know about you, but for me, is loneliness. And I think part of it maybe is I'm an only child, and I'm a people person. I love to be with people, and I never had brothers and sisters growing up, which is totally good and is what the Lord wanted for a family. But I think I just really longed for that, and I really cherish the friends that I do have. But there were different seasons in my life, in high school and college, and when I first got married, even that. And then when we moved out to Maui, of just loneliness, of not feeling like there was a good friend that I had that I could confide in or do life with or laugh with, or, you know, that you can go over to at 10 p.m. at night and have a latte and just talk and laugh together, or who you call when you're really struggling. Just different seasons in my life where I've been really lonely. And God each time has taught me so much through that, and has really called me to Himself and beckoned me to Himself of just, Alyssa, like, am I enough? Let your longing lead you to Jesus. That's the big lesson I've learned throughout it all. And in those different seasons, I remember just praying for however long, just asking God over and over and over for a girlfriend that I can do life with, that we just connect at the heart and see eye to eye to have so much fun together. And each time the Lord has been so faithful to provide a friend in my life, that now it's like this handful of friends that are my dearest and closest friends. And even though I don't talk to some of them nearly as much anymore, because after college you go away and get married and you don't live in the same state, they still are my deep, deep friends. So God is so faithful to provide our desires, and that He knows our heart and what we need, and He gives us such good and gracious gifts. So God's been so faithful in that. But overarching, even in those loneliness or not loneliness, knowing that God fills me and that He is my portion. I love that word. And I know it may be fuzzy to some of you. It's not a word that we use in our language anymore at all, really. But basically, it's like your filling, your provision. Like in a cup, God completely fills it up, and God is what you get, that you get Jesus. And he is abundant and overflowing. It's not like he holds back at all. It's not like he only gives part of himself, but he gives all of himself. And he is so good, and he is all that we need and all that we long for. And he is our portion. And I remember I loved this truth after, when I was about 23 or so, after Jeff and I had dated the first time, and then we had broken up that summer. I just remember struggling so much, not so much with the loneliness thing, but just so much of trusting God and trusting him that he is who he says he is and that he is good enough, and having so much fear that, wow, what if I never get married? I dated someone and it didn't work out. Will that ever happen again? Will I ever find that guy? Is the Lord holding out on me? And that was a really hard time, but I just remember that summer, and I might have shared it before, but just being so close with the Lord and having so much time to just pray and pour my heart out to him and seek him. And he spoke so clearly to me that summer. And one of the main things he taught me was that he is my portion. And although I had known that, and I had read this verse over and over, and it had been one of the themes of my life for years up until this point, he made that truth really come alive in my life and really be like a foundation and a rock in my heart that I can always go back to, that he is all that I need. He fills me up, that no matter what longing I have or loneliness I have of someone that I don't have, whether it's a friend or a boyfriend or a husband, that I have God, and God is all I need. And he is way more than I need. And on top of that, although yes, he is our portion, he is all that we need, and we get him, he also knows that we also have other longings and maybe other hurts or lonelinesses in our heart, and it says that he is the strength of my heart. That even though he is your portion, he's all you need, there still may be something, and he will give you strength in your heart to have courage to face each day, to walk through that season. No matter what, if your flesh fails, if you're sick and maybe cancer or just feeling sick all the time or some disease, or if your heart is failing, just feeling so sad and lonely and emotional, that God is the strength of your heart. And I love, again, the verse before it where the psalmist just says, whom have I in heaven but you? And there's nothing on earth that I desire besides you. And I love that. And I remember, just to go off a little different direction here, John Piper wrote a book, I don't even remember the name of it, but the whole thing was, we talk about heaven and how awesome it's going to be, and we can't wait to be there. But what if everything that we thought we wanted wasn't there, and it was just Jesus? Would that be enough? Would we still long for heaven, long for eternity as much as we do now? And just remembering, at the end of the day, all that I really want is Jesus, and he's all that I really need. And I think that applies to eternity and where we'll, how it will look after we die, but it also applies to now. That no matter where you're at, what you're longing for or you don't have, or the loneliness you may feel, that no matter what, we have God, and God is more than enough. And I just think of verse 25 as a prayer, like, there is nothing on earth that I desire besides you. Maybe that's not true, and I know a lot of times in my life, a lot of moments throughout the day, I couldn't say that. There's other things I desire, whatever it may be. But just being reminded of that truth and really praying that, man, God, I want to desire you above all things and above all people. And I think we want to desire that because God is the most incredible, satisfying, he's God. He's everything that we could ever possibly want and desire. And he wants us, and he longs for us and to have a relation with us, and that in itself is absolutely incredible. And again, going just back a little bit, verse 23, I love just that God reminds us that he is always with us, that he holds our right hand, that he is holding our hand through every moment of every day. And I remember in high school, 9th grade, I tried out for show choir, and it was this choir at school that I'd always wanted to be in since I was like in elementary school. And the girls wore these beautiful, pretty, sparkly red dresses, and they danced with the men in tuxedos, and they sang while they did it. It was just like the best choir ever, and I always longed to be in it. Never got there, but you know, that's okay. And I remember trying out for it, and I was so nervous, and I just kept praying and trusting the Lord, but man, it was like the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. And I remember this verse, and this was my verse for the tryout, and throughout the whole song, my right hand just tingled the whole time. And I just, as crazy as that sounds, I just knew that the Lord was right there in that moment, holding my hand, walking me through it. And I love that that's so tangible and so real, that God is walking with you right now, right today, whatever you're going through, whatever you're facing, whether it's really awesome or really hard, God is with you. He will never leave you, and he fills your cup. And so as we end this section, this verse today, I just want to go back to verse 28. For me, it is good to be near God. I have made the Lord God my refuge, that I may tell of all your works. Can you say that today? Can you say that it is good for you to be near God and that you have made him your refuge? And if not, that's okay. Ask the Lord to show you how to make him your refuge. Ask the Lord to show you all the goodness that there is in being close to the Lord and walking with him and having that fellowship with him. And he will so show you, like, over and abundantly, more than you can imagine, because that's what he wants. He wants us to seek him, and he has so much blessing and joy as we seek him, just being in relationship with him. So here's a couple questions for you. Are you today in a season of loneliness? Or maybe, as we talked about before, like the psalmist was doing, are you in a, like, just noticing your heart and how you get envious easily of other people, of what they have and what you don't have, or whether that's material possessions or relationships? Do you tend to notice that you compare yourself a lot with other people? I know that was a big struggle for me for a long time, and still is here and there. So just ask those things of yourself, and then ask yourself, do you believe that God is enough? Do you trust him to be your strength and your portion? So just journal those out, pray through those today. I hope that encourages you, that you, wherever you are, God is more than enough and fills your cup and wants to fill your cup.